All right, we're speaking with our second group of sophomore scholars who have been part of an inquiry-driven, participatory learning kind of culture since August in 10th Honors Lit, and they've been gracious enough to share some of their time and insights with us today, and they're going to be honing in on their information literacy standards that they feel like they've mastered or shown tremendous growth in this year. So we're just going to kind of go from left to right. So Serena, we're going to kick off with you. And if you want to share with us kind of what are your top two standards or the standards you feel like you want to share with us.
I really learned how to organize information so that it's useful this year. And I mean, if you don't know me, I'm a messy person. So learning organization was very hard for me, but with the right tools that were provided, such as like Symbaloo or Scoop It, and even EasyBib for citations was extremely, extremely helpful. And next, I had a really good group, and in that group, I learned to demonstrate leadership and confidence by sharing my ideas. And it felt good to know that people can tell me like it is, whether they liked my ideas or not. And everything was pretty much open, and you could say whatever you wanted to.
And I know that you used Symbaloo this time, and that I remember we had a kind of a great conversation as a group about Symbaloo versus NetVibes and why do you need that dashboard, and that was something that y'all were able to utilize a little bit more, as well as again that kind of group learning aspect that learning how to work together as a team and kind of divvy up those tasks. And I think one of the things that y'all had mentioned, and I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, but I think that y'all had mentioned kind of the impact, of the group learning experience. Do you feel like working with Olivia and Bethany enhanced the learning experience versus if you had just kind of gone about this on your own?
It most definitely did enhance the learning process because you get to hear things that you wouldn't have thought of yourself.
And would you like to see more teachers give kind of collaborative or group kinds of research efforts, at least as a choice maybe for future assignments?
As a choice, but depending on the type of project
right.
that it is.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, to at least know as a choice it should be out there. And then again, you all can decide what you feel comfortable with. Okay, thank you. How about you?
Hi. I learned this semester especially how to use my background knowledge for this project specifically because I have a personal attachment to this project from my cousin, and I definitely had some knowledge already going into this project, and he was the reason why I chose this topic. Also, having the appropriate sources was definitely helpful. EasyBib was amazing, so much better than Noodle Tools, and I learned how to analyze the articles much better, which helped a lot to pick the information that was more important over stuff that was just interesting, so that definitely helped as well.
Yeah, and y'all definitely stepped up kind of your sources in that. I remember looking at your bibliography, and I remember y'all had a couple from Academic Search Complete this time, and y'all picked some meaty articles to analyze. So, yeah. And I know as a class that was something that people were targeting, trying to improve their reading skills with those informational articles, and you all definitely have a leg up on the new Common Core standards coming this fall to our English courses. So I'm glad to hear that was something you felt like you showed growth in.
And plus, finding, for our project, I was not expecting the information to be so difficult to find. So finding, using the specific sources that we did, it was definitely very, very helpful.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Okay, I also used background knowledge to help with my learning because I didn't know what Symbaloo was or VoiceThread. Those were all just new things. But coming in in August and then working with the library, we were able to learn what these were, how they would help us, and using sources that I didn't know that could help me so much, and just using what we learned in this class will help me go further on to next year, years beyond college, even using these 21st century learning things are helpful.
And we want them to be helpful. That's good to know. Yeah. So kind of thinking about your toolkit was helpful for you. And again, the sources being a much deeper exposure to that was one of your targets. Was there another standard that you feel like you showed growth in?
Yeah, like picking sources. Picking sources were helpful. Like normally I would just go to Google and like find an article, but like I was able to use like research numbers.
The proverbial announcement. So we'll pause for a moment. Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Sorry.
and I was able to use like SIRS and academic search complete, and it just really helped me.
Holly Dixon to the attendance office. Holly Dixon.
So the day in the life of high school. Hopefully that's the last one. Okay, thank you. And Jacob, tell us about your standards that you feel like you mastered.
I feel like I got much better at researching because when I first started doing this project, I thought that this was going to be a lot of research, and I'm very slow at researching. But I started using Scoop It just at first, right off the bat. And I used it with Sweet Search and Academic Search Complete to get all the articles I needed and to sort through the ones that I wanted. And I was able to put that on my NetVibes page, which made it for easy access. And it was just made researching so much quicker, and I got a lot of information and found lots of things I did not know beforehand about PTSD. And
It's okay.
And the other thing I got better at was time management, because I would spend too much time on something that didn't need very much time and not enough time on another thing, and I kind of figured out how to balance those two things with the NetVibes page. I used that little notes thingy to say, spend more time on this, and then I did. So
Yeah, and NetVibes really worked well for you this semester,
yeah,
didn't it?
It did.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, just kind of some final reflections or questions for you all as a group. Thinking about, kind of how this class rolled, and we sort of built up as we went through the year, and we made adjustments trying to take your feedback, about what you needed or didn't need as a learner. We know that first semester it was a curve for everybody, because for a lot of you, it may have been doing projects where, as our other group shared, you didn't have a lot of engagement or a connection to, that you were given more responsibility and ownership and trying to connect the dots, so to speak, and go a little bit deeper. What has that experience been like for you to kind of maybe make that shift from sort of a traditional learning environment to one that gives you as a student a little bit more input or choice in the learning experience?
We've come a long way, and it was just by like the options that you and Miss Lester provided for us that helped us move along as learners. So I don't really know how to put that. What would you say?
Oh God, I have my EOCT.
So you need to step out. It's okay.
I'm so sorry.
So no, it's okay. So we're going to let you step on out, and you can think on that. Thank you. Sorry. It's crazy testing day here. Other thoughts kind of on that transition, moving from where, maybe the teacher has ownership and is just telling you, what to do, whereas like now you're having to actually do something with the information or to take more participation like in Fishbowl or your NetVibes page or whatever. Other thoughts that you might have on that transition? Or what that was like for you?
I've never really done very much with the technology beforehand, like directly integrated with the classroom. Like the teacher said, you can do this. This is an option. I always just kind of went off on my own and did it. And now that this was in, it wasn't really a big shift, but it was a big shift because there was a lot more, because I didn't know very much beforehand, and now I know lots and lots and lots more than I should. So.
Well, you all definitely, we could see kind of that progression, especially when we got in the second semester, and a lot of it came out in your Fishbowl discussions, I think, that you all kind of upped, I think, the sophistication in your thinking, as well as the work that you've been, sharing along the way with your research project. Okay. Just as a final sort of reflection, and then we're going to let you head on out to your next class. But I know that, some of you have been applying this to other kind of interest or real-world situations. Serena, I know you mentioned it. Miss Lester told me a little bit more about how you taught your dad how to use VoiceThread as a way of sharing information. Did you want to maybe tell us a little bit about how that came about, teaching your dad
Yes.
VoiceThread?
I talk about this class all the time at home, so everybody knows everything. And he became really interested when I had showed him my VoiceThread project, and he goes, "This would be great to use for my company." And he took it to Germany with him, created a big one to pretty much put in front of big people for this company.
Wow.
And they completely loved it. So the outcome of that turned out to be really good.
Well, that's awesome.
And his company is actually looking into a class to teach them more up-to-date.
Wow. How exciting.
Yes.
And I think it's exciting, too, to me in the sense that, you know, a few months ago you were kind of a beginner or a novice, and now you've become an expert, and that you're sharing that in very powerful ways, that this is going to have an impact for your dad and his company. So that's the other thing, too. We're hoping, you know, to give you skills or knowledge that can be applied, you know, to help others in some way. Okay. Well, we want to compliment and thank you all for your efforts and your growth this year. It's been a lot of fun and a real joy for us on the days that we've struggled, as well as the days, you know, that you've had that aha moment, or that, you know, suddenly you're making these very adult-like decisions about your learning process. And I know getting to watch y'all do your interviews and, you know, work with the apps. I know you had the app that was really central to your project. And we just appreciate, you know, your patience and the efforts that you've put forth this semester. So thank you, and we hope y'all have a great summer.